want to talk about accountability. Kyle Shanahan, Deebo Samuel, what they've been saying in the midst of this 3-game embarrassing, humiliating, losing streak. And really, rock bottom was, of course, this last loss. Afterward, Kyle Shanahan kind of just blurting out, "We're not as good as we used to be." And it's a bad look to say that in the middle of the season. What do you think he really meant when he said that in that moment of emotion?
Well, I mean, that's a whole nother thing. I guess the reason I brought up this topic, Grant, is there were two things that were said this week from him and from Debo. And I feel like we should be fair on both sides. If I'm going to criticize people for talking and acting like they're the best and doing all those things, which they deserve criticism for all those things, I also then have to praise when they're doing exactly what it is that I've been asking for them to do. So Kyle Shanahan first. Monday's call, he's asked about Sorensen. And he's like, yeah, things haven't gone that well. I'm still really happy with Sorensen. But there are some issues, and that starts with me. I was like, oh my gosh, wow, this is great. This is maybe the second time I've heard you say that you are accountable for something out loud to everybody. I thought that was really, really good, and we need more of that. Well, I say we 49er fans need more of that. I don't think you care. But we would love to hear more of that from Kyle Shanahan. And then Deebo on his show, I caught one clip, and the host, I think, has actually done a pretty good job on the clips I've seen over the last few weeks, kind of asking him tough questions and holding his feet to the fire a little bit. She doesn't follow up the way that I would prefer, but at least she's asking him some of these tough questions. And she gave him an out. She's like, listen, you guys have made some really deep runs, and I'm sure that can wear on a body, and there's been so much that's been going on this season. And he's like, yeah, he goes, absolutely. There's a lot of things that have happened, and it is really, really hard, but that's not an excuse. We have to take care of our bodies individually. We have to come in prepared. We have to come in shape. All those things are on us. And I think that we are better than what we've performed, but ultimately, none of those are valid excuses. I was like, okay, Deebo, thank you so much. That's what a captain should say. So for me, I just wanted to bring those two talking points up, and maybe I know you heard the one from Shanahan, probably not the one from Deebo, and really just kind of open it up and ask what your thoughts are on that.
I think I'm glad that you brought this up because I think both Kyle and Deebo probably have reflected on the way they've acted this season in the midst of this, humiliating season. And I think maybe they both realized they could be a little bit more, accountable, at least publicly, because they haven't been so much. So I think both of them maybe had a conversation together. Maybe they talked about it. Maybe someone talked about it with them and they said, yeah, you know what? It would be appropriate in the midst of this 3-game losing streak to talk like this now. So it's great. It's appropriate. All I'd like to say is I'd like to see Kyle and Deebo in particular do more than talk. Like they need to do better at their jobs. Deebo, man, I thank you for saying the right thing, but it's gotten to the point where you're a better kick returner than you are a wide receiver. And when you get 5 targets in a game, I'm wondering if that hurt the team because it ends up with like 20 yards. And those are targets that could have gone to George Kittle or Jawan Jennings. So Deebo, Kyle, great. But you got 5 games left. Finish strong. And let there be like an action behind this adjusted attitude.
I find it interesting when, and I haven't really given my opinion one way or another fully on this, but a lot of people are on the side like, hey, Deebo's clearly lost a step. And then there's another group of people that are like, he's absolutely not lost a step. And I think that group of people wants to stand up for Deebo in that moment, but I think they're actually doing him a disservice. I actually think I can stomach more that he's lost a step and may not be as good as he was versus the alternative, which is he's not lost a step at all. He's just not trying really hard. That's the alternative. So which one is it? Is he not trying hard and he could clearly do better? Or is he lost a step? I don't know what the answer is, but I can stomach he's lost a step a heck of a lot more than the other way around, especially if he's a captain on this team.
Dude, in his last 3 games, he's had 20 yards, 21 yards, and 22 yards. And note, he hasn't scored a touchdown since week since the Seattle game in Seattle. Like, what?
And that was a fluky touchdown. Remember, that was the pass down the left sideline
Yeah.
where the corner flew into the screen and like completely whiffed as he was trying to catch it, and then nobody was around him, and he just ran into the end zone. So
Yeah,
even
so
that
that
was
was
a
one
fluky
touchdown. He had another touchdown against the Jets week 1 that I honestly don't remember, and that's it for the whole season. He had 15 touchdowns, 12 touchdowns last year. Like, what happened, man? Like, you could see that he still has burst on the kick returns. I just don't understand why he can't produce anymore. So it'd be great. I mean, again, the season isn't over. You're in one of the worst divisions in the division. Whichever team wins this division isn't going to be good. If Deebo could just kick it into another gear, the Niners would win this division. They would beat the Bears. They would beat the Rams. But I don't even expect that anymore. With Deebo, I expect about 20 yards and a drop and a good kick return. But I'm sorry, we were trying to praise Deebo. Look, I'm sorry, Deebo. Like, I want to, instead of like kicking him in the groin verbally, let's just say I hope this is, for both of them, like the precursor to the best work they've done of the year. That's all I'm saying. It'd be nice if like a change in attitude led to a change in performance. Otherwise, it's just empty words.
Remember, he saved the season in Jimmy Garoppolo's job a couple years ago against Chicago. Maybe against Chicago this year, he can turn it around too, and they can go on a little hot streak. Maybe. I'm not going to bank on it, but it's possible.
To me, this season is very not over, and 5 games is a lot of games. So
it is a lot of games.
It's a lot of games. I mean, that's a lot of touch. It's a lot of plays he could make. That's a lot of, minds he could change about who he is and what his future is with this team. Both of these guys. So it's great that they're saying the right thing. Maybe they needed a 3-game losing streak to, get their mind right. Because really, like, the Niners have been inviting distractions on them. Like, some of them have been unavoidable. There's been like tragedies and near tragedies, but like some ways the Niners just have been inviting distractions with like the hat gate with Nick Bosa. They've been awful since that moment. The shorts, the holdouts, all these things that could really are within the Niners' control that they can avoid. They've kind of embraced this year. Like, we can play football as a side quest while we do all these other things. Like, no, you can't.